going to share with you the top 10 principles of top 1% men. Some of these are the same principles that I use to be able to make over $1 million before the age of 24. The others are what I've learned from mentors that have combined made over $50 million, and most of them being under 30. Number one is having a long-term vision. Bill Gates has this quote that most people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. When I realized how long it actually takes to do something insanely big in my life, that's when I was able to lower my expectations and go and change my view based on what my habits were that would create the output that I wanted. It's really focusing on the inputs rather than the outputs, because the outputs will come. I want to share an analogy with you. So I'm on this weight loss journey right now, and I was 218 when I just had started. I'm about 3 weeks in now, but my goal is to get to 180 pounds. Now, it's not like anything crazy that 180 pounds signifies, but the reason why I stayed stuck at 218 pounds for so long, or above 200 pounds for so long, was because I was continuing to make decisions based on the perspective of that person. For me to actually keep off the weight, but more importantly, live an abundant life physically, I had to start making decisions based on what the 180 pound Johnny would make. What habits, what mindset, what thought process does that person have, and what decisions does that person make? And I stayed stuck for so long because I didn't make decisions based on what that person makes and how that person lives their life. And so for you, it's the same exact thing. You have to think on a long time horizon, but also make decisions how that person makes them. Don't think short term for the next 3 to 6 months, but think, where can my life be in the next 5 to 10 years? Number two is taking care of your health. There's a saying, health is wealth, and I truly believe that, because Brad Lea actually made me think of this a lot. He asked the question, would you right now trade $1 billion and you have to be on your deathbed right now and you only have about 6 months to live? Would you take that, or would you take being 24 or 23 for me right now and being healthy? Would you take that person even though he isn't a billionaire? And the obvious answer, the obvious choice was that I would rather be exactly where I am right now. I wouldn't want to be sick on my deathbed with $1 billion, because for me, if I'm about to die, the money ultimately becomes irrelevant. So the habits that every single one of my mentors that I started implementing was they wake up and the very first thing that they do is go to the gym. Because if you get really disciplined about daily habits with your physical health, it's way easier to translate that to business. And so for me, when I actually started implementing this, my business actually became better and I started making $50,000 to $100,000 per month. Number three is surrounding yourself with winners. You're not going to rise to the level of your potential. You're going to fall to your system. And so when you're around people who expand your mind, who actually are doing what you're wanting to do. I remember one of my first mentors, he was 20 years old at the time, making $100,000 per month when I was making $15,000 to $20,000 per month, my biggest month being 40. And I was like, this is crazy that making $100,000 is actually not that hard. I remember having a limiting belief broken at that time, because I was like, that person puts on their pants the same way that I do. They struggle with the same things that I do, but they were able to break through that. They were able to break their limiting beliefs and be able to make that. So what am I holding on to right now? And what am I not doing? Or what am I doing that they aren't, that's holding me back from getting to that $100,000 a month mark? So whatever that is for you, getting around winners, getting around people who are where you want to be is super, super important. Number four is super simple, but one of the most important things that I started doing, and it's actually writing down your goals. Most people don't know where they're going and don't have intentionality of where they're trying to get to. And so what they do is they just kind of wander around and let life happen to them, instead of having a crystal clear vision of where they want to be in the future. So envision, take the time, put your phone on do not disturb and think about, where do I actually want to be in 5 years? Where do I want to be in 10 years? And from that place of thinking of where you want to be, write down the daily actionable steps that you can take to get to that spot. Number five is learn rather than earn. Especially when you're young in your 20s, use this time to build the skill sets, because if you have the skill sets, the money money will follow you. Most people want to jump to how can I make as much money right now and flex the cars, the watches, the nice houses. But the reality is if you can build a skill set that will set you up to make multi-millions in your 30s, 40s, 50s, that's really all that matters. Because here's the thing, it's like building a train track. The person who sets one train track up and then moves the train, and then they set another train track up and they move the train and they set another train track, it's just stop and go. And so if you take the time to learn and you take the time to build the tracks, you ultimately will go a lot faster. So think about it for yourself. What skills can I learn right now, today, that will set me up in 10 to 15 years to make sure and pretty much guarantee that I will become a millionaire? Number 6 is taking extreme ownership. When circumstances happen to you, are you falling victim to them, or are you saying, hey, I could have done better in this spot, that was my fault, I take responsibility here? Because the reality is everything is your fault. If you're not where you want to be right now, it's 100% your fault. But if you are where you want to be, it also is your fault. And so you have to take extreme ownership of your circumstances, because if it's meant to be, it's up to me. Every single choice, every single decision, everything that happens to you, there's some way, shape, or form that you can take ownership of and not fall victim to what has happened to you, but rather being able to dictate life. Number 7 is investing into yourself. Let's just do some simple math. If you invest $10,000 per year, which is $800 per month, and that grows at an average rate of 8%, right? So 10,000 times 8%, what you're getting back is $800. You made $800, but if you were to take that same $10,000 and invest it into yourself to learn a skill set, to go from the $60,000 you're making right now to even $100,000, right? If you spent $10,000, you should be able to make at least $10,000 per month. Using that investment can help you really grow your skill set, but also the potential of you earning. Because say you get up to $120,000 a year from the $60,000, so you double your income from $10,000. Well, you just made $60,000 that next year. You take that money, maybe you put another 10 or 20, or maybe you get addicted like me to investing, and you're like, hey, I'm gonna put $50,000 into myself. With $50,000, you can get around some of the biggest people that are making millions of dollars per month. And so if you take that same investment and you use that and you have them help you, coach you, train you, mentor you on a one-to-one basis, that can help you start making $100,000, $200,000, $500,000 per month. And I've seen this happen with my own eyes. It's happened to me, but I've also been around people who are going from making $100,000 per year to making $800,000 per month. So the best investment that you can ever make is going to be not in other companies, but ultimately in you. Number 8 is focus. Bruce Lee says, I don't fear the man who has practiced 1,000 kicks one time, but it's actually the person who's practiced one kick 1,000 times. And so I take this into my own life as well. If you want to really go deep, if you want to make a lot of money, if you want to become the person that you want to be, focus on one thing. Focus on a skill set. Sales or marketing will pay you forever. And if you go deep on one of those skills, that will give you a 6-figure skill set. And once you start stacking those skills on top of each other, that will ultimately increase the earning potential that you have, but also the life that you're able to live. Number 9 is taking risks. You never know what's on the other side if you never take the step. No one who's ever built something big like the Elon Musks of the world, Jeff Bezos, those people always took risks. And yes, you have to take calculated risks, but how all these people look at it, what I've learned is that I either win or I'm gonna learn. There's no failure that happens. The only failure that happens is when you decide to quit. And what's nice is that is your choice. And so learn from the mistakes, jump head in and actually go after your goals. Because if you don't go all in and you go at it half-heartedly, you're going to get half-hearted results. The only way that you win, the only way that you actually get to that next level, the only way that you actually become a top 1% man is by taking risks and going all in with 2 feet. Number 10 is consistency. And I'm not talking about just consistency, hitting the gym every day and working on your dreams every single day, but it's having the same day as many times as humanly possible. Think about the best day that you could think of, right? the time that you're most productive, the time that you accomplish the most, the time that you solve the most problems, think about that time and make it to where that is your daily schedule every single day. Go to sleep at the same time, wake up at the same time, eat the same stuff. Like, have a routine, because a routine and the habits that you build and the habits that you have in your life is what you ultimately are going to fall to. So if you have really high standards and really high levels of habits, you inevitably are going to hit the goals that you set out for yourself. So these are the top 10 principles of the top 1% men. And if you absolutely love this video and want to know how a kid in his 20s is making over $100,000 per month, click right here for the full beginner's guide of how I'm able to do that.